Well, top of the morning, you beautiful people of the gathering of the Griot posse. That's who you are today. Thank you for tuning in again on another good Tuesday. We're going to have a wonderful show today of people that help me. Oh gosh, they're so important. So thank you for tuning in again. And before we start, got to give big props to Naima Latif and the Female Solution. So let's just bring it in and let you know what this is about. The Female Solution happens every single day. And we are Tuesdays with the Female Solution, but just get a sense of its magnitude. Check it out.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the
I lost my phone. Over here. No, you stay there, stay there. I need you to move. 61st and Champlain.
Hey, now. For this event, because in the tradition of our people, you ask the elders for their permission to speak. We're not talking about the energy with somebody telling you what to do. We're talking about a reverence for elders. And so before we open up this event, this is how we ask for permission to begin the event, to make sure it's in order and there's approval that we're doing the right thing. And so I ask our elders, do we have permission to begin this event?
You have our permission.
Ashe. Ashe. Women, right and
I just love that so much. But I gotta play that because we are very, very, very serious and playful about our elders and our elders really approving of the work that we do. So you're going to meet the man who makes all these wonderful videos a little later today, but just had to show not only the Female Solution and the umbrella strong organization, but also had to just have the elders open us up. And that's how we open up the book fair every year. And so kudos to our elders giving us the blessing. So without further ado, I'm just going to help share who helps me, because I've heard some people call this book fair like, oh, Asada's book fair, or this is not my book fair. I'm not the only one doing this. Like, you need a team of people to help you make it go right. And every year it shapes up into different things and different people. And this year, this is a big, important year because we didn't have a book fair in 2024 because Asada was knocked out. I wasn't able to do a thing, right? And so things are much better now. And the people, I'm not going to say they're much better, but they sure are good. So I'm going to start off with a sister who I love so dearly because she has helped me through my healing process and now going to help me into the growth of the book fair. This is none other than Nina Simpson. Come on. How are you, Nina?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, you guys. This is an important person right here because some people they do a lot, but they play themselves down, like they don't know how they don't say how great they are. Well, she is great. Nina, you're a very important friend to me. I met Nina with us both studying Scientology, and Nina coming to the table just as a mellow soul, but had all this power. Like when you get to talk to her, I mean, I'm drinking celery juice every morning because of this girl. Like just making sure I get that life right. And so Nina is a stylist, and she is the CEO of what's to come called Juiceology. She actually juices for people and goes to their home and juice for them and makes a way out the door to juice for the next person. So Nina, tell me what brings you to the building of the book fair. Like, why is that something that even is of interest to you?
Um, well, first of all, because you are involved, but I have also a love for books, and I don't even watch TV. I read all the time, and I went to like a Black Book Expo last year, and I was like so inspired. And then when I found out that you were doing this, I'm like, want to help and do whatever I can. So,
That idea, because when you're doing something this big, you need a comrade, somebody who is there to help you do the various aspects of the book fair. There are a lot of moving parts to the book fair. And so me helping to move them parts by myself equals me going cuckoo birds. And so what do you see for yourself? Because I know outside of you reading a lot of books, you've written a lot, like you write a lot. What have you written so far?
um, a book of poetry, um, and I'm working on two other books. So
You better talk about it. I don't think you're gonna sit here and just say I wrote a book of poetry and some
yeah,
books.
so the book of poetry is um it's about shifting our perspective of like a lot of times we get stuck with programming and things from society, and we get so stuck in a loop that we don't realize it, and it becomes our normal. And then the my poetry is just like shedding light on the the stuff that we do that doesn't sound silly until you hear like a comedian or a poet just say say it out loud, like, oh dang, I've been doing this most of my life. So I just try to help shift the perspective of people stuck in a loop.
Okay.
That's
And I mean, you've come through a ton, which we don't have enough time for that wonderful long story. But what would you say inspires you to read so much, to have a book be important to you even?
I think it started out with, I guess, trauma and me always trying to fix myself. And then I think that's like the main thing. And then I realized like over my life that I'm not the only one who who is struggling with things that I struggle with. So I was writing for me, but also for others. If I could help someone else, if they can read and see, man, I'm not the only one who struggle with things and need to a perception shift.
Okay. Look, here's the thing, guys, and I think this is the important part about when I look for people who support the book fair, they have to overlap in something that makes up who they are. And so if you could take your stories, take your quote unquote trauma, and turn them into ways that people can heal themselves. That to me is what the book fair is about. The book fair is about the sharing of ideas, stories, experiences, so that you are courageous enough to put them on paper and have people see them. And so, do you think that you'll try to Well, let me ask this: are your poetry books published yet?
No, because I'm still editing.
Okay.
It's about 90% done. I just need to change a few things.
Okay. And that's kind of what we do with the book fair, guys. For those of you who don't know, if you do have a book in you, you haven't really stepped out there yet, we got you. The resources for editing, formatting, getting the ISBN number, like all of those things. Emerging authors, if you're an emerging author, this is a great place for you. Like you saw that procession in the beginning, those were like women writers. That particular year, I think that was 2019, we focused on women writers. But I think what we're going to do for this book fair coming is have that procession be a procession of people that are debuting their books that year. Because I know I'm going to be debuting a book that I'm writing called I Had to Choose to Feel Better. Who knows? Nina might be there with her poetry books to debut. Look, pressure, pressure, pressure. I actually had Naima Latif, who is the CEO of the Female Solution. I actually had her say that she may have a book with her sisters called Growing Up Charles come out for this new year. So I'm like, let's go. I'm here to play the role of, come on. Like I feel like the red carpet is out for you. If you are a person that is into whatever you're into, I think it's important for people to hear what you have to say. I really believe that all of us have a purpose on this planet, number one. And not only do we have a purpose on this planet, but I feel like we're experiencing things so that we can set the tone for the next person. Like we can actually show a roadmap of how this all gets done. And so what I want to do is just show you a little bit about what the book fair is so you can see how it moves, what it entails, because the people that you are hearing, Nina, and the people that are coming are going to put together the one for this year. So let's take a look at the main event that sets the stage for all Soulful Chicago Book Fairs to come. Take a look.
Soulful Chicago Book Fairs are the most exciting black book fairs on the planet. Born in July of 2016, Soulful Chicago Book Fairs have both increased the literary marketplace for black writers and given lovers of black literature places to find books about the black experience the world over. The main summer book fair stretches 4 city blocks on 61st Street between Cottage Grove and King Drive. Each block is characterized by its own genre, donning the works of fiction authors, nonfiction authors, and children's authors. The day begins with a procession of elders atop a float, demonstrating the book fair's honoring of community elders. The entertainment of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair has been second to none. Audiences travel to its Grammy-level stage, which has featured musical artists such as Eric Roberson, King, and many of Chicago's multicultural talents. The book fair's community stage sits equidistant from either end and showcases puppet shows, open mic sessions, and author talks for festival goers to enjoy.
authors that bought homes or provide an economic foundation.
Aspiring authors have enjoyed the Soulful Chicago Book Fair's lineup of helpful workshops on publishing, writing for children, and legalities of the publishing industry and more. From its exhibitors to its entertainment, its workshops, to its overall power, Soulful Chicago Book Fairs will continue to breathe literary life and prosperity into the South Side of Chicago for decades to come.
I love it. I just love it. So you can see how big it is. And I know Nina had to another responsibility this morning. And so I'm so happy that she was able to come on and at least share a little bit about who she is and that she's going to be involved in creating what you just saw. You saw those moving parts, baby. It is magnanimous and I love it. But anyway, let me tell you about another sister who I literally just met in my life recently. Oh God, she's an Aquarian sister. Oh God, and I love her so much. She is coming to the table with a bevy of ideas and just tremendous inspiration. Let's bring to the table Sister Soleil Harden. How are you, darling?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm just great. She is the Chief Visionary Officer of Night Bloom Museum. Now, can you tell us a little bit about that before we get into your involvement with the book fair?
Yes. Very happy to. So, Night Bloom Museum actually has birthed out of my love for books and love for reading and writing, and my love for Black people reading and writing their stories. So I wanted to create a space where people can start to see their own life stories as worthy of museum quality display. And one of the things that I'm also creating is a product that actually really is designed to help people look at their life histories, their genealogy, their lineage, their ancestry, and bring those things, all of the heirlooms, whether they are still in the possession of the family, whether they were lost, all of those stories, memories, sayings, the places where we live, our lives, the gatherings that happen there, the porches, all of those kinds of experiences, and to curate it in a way so that we actually really, really value what we have and what our lineage has produced. As well as those things that have been lost, and to still be able to honor those and have those things like as a time capsule for future generations to be able to experience and know all that our experience is. Because so many times we haven't had a value on our histories and on our experiences because there's so much pain and because there is trauma. So sometimes there is this sense of that's not very valuable, that's not really important. And it's sometimes hard to remember. But it birthed out of my own experience of working on my memoir, which I was very resistant to do. I didn't want to write about my personal story. I wanted to write poetry. I wanted to write short story fiction. I wanted to do those things, but not everything orchestrated to have me write my own story.
Mm-hmm.
So I experienced a tremendous healing in that process. I learned to write through pain and turn my pain into art that made me feel really, really good. And this is a product and a birth out of that experience.
Ooh, I just love it. I love it. You know, we had an opportunity, I think it was 2018, to showcase the book fair in this big library downtown, the Howard Washington Library. They gave us close to 4,000 square feet of space to recreate the book fair. And they took our books and encased them in glass and set them up with artifacts that represented the books. And it was so class act, baby. They had placards that explained what the book was and the relevance and the author. And so when you said that, I know what that feels like. And I mean, for people who visited, they were like, yo, this is a class act. Like it really elevated our books because not only were they books, but they had these these artifacts that we describe them sort of gave you some, what we call in Scientology, some mass on
Mm,
what's in this book, and so I
mhm.
love this idea of what you're doing. I think it's a wonderful way to put our books on stage. A lot of
Yes.
times with other arts, dance, fine arts, your eyeballs get to see those arts, those different forms of art. But in reading, you really got to pick up the book to know what it's about. And
Yeah.
so if we can find ways to showcase who we are and what we do through these books, I think that's going to be a great thing. So I love the idea. It immediately brought back that experience. And so you came to the table through another very phenomenal entity, Byron Harden, who's going to be on our show March 4th, I believe. But tell us a little bit about what interested you in becoming a part of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair as via the Ice Music Byron Harden. Go ahead.
Um, I was listening to Nina and her experience around writing and loving reading, and it started in my childhood. My grandfather used to joke that when I would get lost in the store and he would go look for me in the toy section. This is in the 70s when you could your kid could wander around and be relatively safe. And he would look for me in the toy section and not find me. And then he would come to the book section and I would be sitting on the floor reading. And so my love for reading goes into my childhood, really instilled by my grandmother and my mom. And so that coming into my adult time, I would look at book fairs on C-SPAN on weekends where they would show book fairs all over the country. But they weren't sometimes, but most of the time they weren't us. And so when Byron told me about this book fair, it really excited me for that very reason. A lot of times I feel that there are a lot of Black authors, which is amazing. But I personally believe there need to be so many more of us writing our stories, sharing our experiences, because we all have a perspective and we all have a voice that's as unique as a snowflake, right? Whatever that dialect is, whatever part of the country or diaspora where we live, we're seeing, we're sensing, we're tasting, we're smelling, we're perceiving. We have an opinion, we have thoughts, we have emotions. And so being able to record and document that, again, for those who are not in your particular shoes, but can experience and see it and glean from it and learn from it, resonate with it, wherever you are in the generational cycles. I think that's so, 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 so important, especially when we are always under sort of a cyclical experience that's sort of ever present of suppressing our story, suppressing us out of history, trying to erase that. And I feel like if we write more, it doesn't matter how many books are banned. That doesn't matter because we can write more than can be banned. And if they are for us and for our children and our children's children, we folks need to know how we live, our perspective, because it's extraordinarily valuable and maybe the most on the planet because we have the most unique position on the planet.
Come on, y'all. Y'all see the mind coming to the table? You got to look at the minds. Oh, gosh. I love people that I can be quiet and listen to them, be like, mm-hmm,
You are
mm-hmm.
hilarious.
I agree. Yes, I
Real
agree.
talk, real
Yes.
talk,
So,
real
I
talk.
mean,
We gotta value this. We gotta value
yes,
it. We gotta value this. It matters. It
it
matters.
matters so much. And like, I guess this is going to be your first year involved with the book fair. I know we were supposed to hook up last year and ain't nobody hook up last year. I ain't even do it. It was too much going on. But, and so everything in its proper time, right?
Mhm.
And so you coming to the table now with the book fair, you got a little glimpse of what it can be, what the things that happen. How do you really see yourself fitting into the landscape of the book fair? What do you see yourself bringing to the table?
So, as we've talked about just different ideas about always making it better, always making it bigger, because it's such an incredible foundation to continue building. It's such an extraordinary legacy. And as I love how you said, it's not just your book fair. It's for the community. It's for all of us. And that's an amazing thing to be a part of and to be able to collaborate. One other thing, I'm new to Illinois. I've been in the area for a year and a half. I moved here on Juneteenth, actually, in 2023. So when the book fair launches, I will just be here for 2 years. And so I'm still getting to know Illinois, getting to know Chicago, which is amazing. So one of the ways I wanted to be on the ground and able to go into all the different places to promote and share and spread the word about the book fair, because I think that is so important, and it also really puts me more connected to this community, to this place where I'm gonna share something else I don't think we had talked about before. I grew up in Arkansas, lived in California in the Bay Area for like 30 plus years. You hear about the migration all the time. You know about the migration. My family is very much love Black people, about our history and everything. You hear about the migration. You don't know about the migration until you come to Chicago.
Wow.
The
Wow.
scale of it. There's one thing to see it written in numbers. I don't think you can truly understand it until you come to Chicago. It's been
Mm.
truly transformative for me to go to the South Side and go to the West Side. I'm like, what? What? I mean, it's extraordinary. It's
Wow.
extraordinary. And it's really been transformative. And so I'm very interested in connecting more and more with the people on the ground. And by being there to physically talk to people, to promote and share about the book fair, then you get a chance to talk to people also about their stories and encouraging them to write their stories, to come and see the book fair, to participate in the book fair, to engage with it, and to be inspired to write their own stories too. And I think that's one of the best ways to do that, is to be on the ground.
I
Another
love it.
way, I want to help you get some more money. I want to help you get some more money.
Hooray. Hooray. Hooray.
So it can be all that you visualize, all that you envision for it, so that we can serve the people in ways that really have them feeling good and showcase what they're doing and all their hard work in the best way possible.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Let me tell you something, y'all. See, I'm a person, I don't want to babysit people. That's what I don't want to do. So
Mhm.
I do love when people come to the table and they have their own idea about how to contribute to this mammoth of an endeavor, right?
Yes.
When I look at the book fair and I look at all those Black folks and I go, wow, look at us gather, and know that we created something for them to gather to, because that's what's missing. You might have a lot of stuff to say about our people, but what you doing for them? Like, you got to create something that we can engage ourselves in. And then there's nothing to complain about, because you're taking them away from being idle to something that's going to really fill them. And so I do love you for your willingness to come to the table and help me market it. I love it.
Yes,
I
yes.
love marketing and getting the word out. In Scientology, the definition of promotion is to make yourself well known and well thought of. Known and
Beautiful,
well thought of. And
beautiful.
that's maybe a component that people don't really think about. They think you just got to say, oh, it's going to be on February 2nd, blah, blah, blah. You can't just tell a date. You got to make it well thought of. Just like if I'm describing a movie to you, I'm going to say, oh, you should have seen when he went and got her off the roof and then flew across the sky. And then, I'm going to describe it like that so you can go see the movie. But it's
Yeah.
similar. We have to do that with the book fair and show, when you see that blocks of Black writers, and then you see thousands of Black people not walking around looking for drugs or this or that. They have books in their hands. They're going around looking for books. I think that's just an invaluable place to be. And so I do want to say, girl, I appreciate you so much and all that you're willing to bring to the table for the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. Do you have a book that you might be debuting at the book fair?
Indeed. Yes, 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 yes. And I'm working on a couple of books as well. One is my husband's story, Byron, who many of you, he's been on the show before, and Byron is uniquely abled. He's blind. And so I've been working on his incredible, extraordinary, unbelievable, and inspirational story.
Great words.
We are looking at doing something that's going to be a children's book as well, and then also an adult a book for adults that describes more of the details around his whole experience. But
Nice.
looking for something also to start bringing his story uniquely able people's stories into the hands of young people, into their awareness, so that they really understand and know what it is to experience life as a blind child, and what that experience is like, and how much a lot of times we have this fear around it, and how to illuminate, so much around that experience and what the gifts are that oftentimes are not really understood by people who have physical sight.
Yes, indeed. Well, honey, we want to thank you for calling in and tuning in this morning, being here. You guys, I know I've been just listening and taking in all that's being said, but if you do want to call in, the number is 727-731-5192. Feel free to call in. If you're watching us on YouTube, definitely put a comment. We'll put that and post that as well. But thank you so much, Soleil, for coming
Thank you, Asada, and thank you for your dedication to this. Thank you for creating this. Thank you for trusting in that vision and bringing it forward. Thank you.
I love people like you, girl, because like minds, we gonna fly. I
Love
see
you.
you. Thank you so much. You guys, we're going to take a commercial break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Gathering of the Griots. This is Asada. You're tuned in to what? Again, Gathering of the Griots on Tuesday mornings, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. 8, no, that's not true. 7 a.m., that would be long, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. But just stay tuned as we look forward to more about the female solution and how you can benefit in this space. So don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
I got spanked and I turned out fine. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Kids today need to be beat. What else am I supposed to do? He's so bad. Ooh, she gets on my last nerve. Better hush up before I give you something to cry about. It was important that I write the book, Beating Black Kids.
I'm old-fashioned, and I believe, you just can't let a child do anything.
I think it's okay, long you don't abuse them.
It's needed to a certain point.
But what I saw was a collection of adults who were talking about a topic they had never really talked about before. And out came, my mama used to hit me with a spatula. My dad used to hit me with a belt. They used to make me get wet first. They used to put my face in a pillow and then spank me. Like all of these different stories about how we have gotten beaten over time. And while there was a lot of laughter when those stories were being told, I could clearly see that there's a fine line between laughing and crying. And I knew that it was time for me to write a book about handling the situation. And so it's very obvious that this came from being a slave, from a slavery experience, and that whole spare the rod, spoil the child. The shepherd did not beat the sheep with the rod. He guided them with the rod. And so it is just obvious that that came from a slavery experience, and we have to know how to differentiate those things and then just use some discernment in terms of doing what's best for our children and not breaking their spirits. With regards to how we discipline our children, first of all, I always tell people that discipline, if you look at the etymology of the word, it comes from disciplina, which is the Latin root meaning teach. And so when you discipline a child, you are teaching them. But when you use corporal punishment and you hit our children, you're not teaching them anything. They're actually not going to do it again out of fear. They're not doing it out of reason. The frustration that we feel from being powerless in a society and all of the things that come along with that, those issues are not to be taken out on our children when we get home. The definition of domestic violence says bringing harm to someone in your home or hurting someone in your home. So I want us to look at how we beat our offspring and how that's not giving them anything good. It's making them quote unquote obedient, but that's what you make a dog. That's what you make an animal. But when you're dealing with someone of higher intelligence, use their intelligence and start to talk to them in ways that give them power, make them feel supported, listen to their ideas, and it'll just be an easier parenting road for you. There's a part of the brain called the regulatory part of the brain, and that's the part of the brain that helps you make decisions in times of adversity. Well, if they have that toxic stress before they even fall, that part of the brain does not develop. And so you're looking at a community full of people with no regulatory equipment. So we need to be bringing a different generation of people up with a different consciousness. Make sure that the kids feel good and alive while they're living. Don't be upset after they die and after there's all these senseless killings. Let's treat them well while they're living, and then we'll see a different impact. The adults want to be upset, but you taught the children the violence when they were young, and it's the tools they have. I feel like, hitting children is such a skillless. We need to foster behavior that builds them up, and that just changes the way, like, we talk to each other. Talk to your discipline, because discipline, we're using it a lot to describe hitting children, and this is not directly to you, LaShawn, but it's to just all of us, because I've heard it and it's personally, and discipline. My book is sold in Switzerland, Germany, Tasmania, Nigeria, Sudan, Canada, all over the world. And so people all over the world are telling me, as far as Germany, that my book is making a difference in the lives of the people that other people touch, but also in the lives of many parents and families who now no longer beat their children because they read my book. A lot of people ask me if I'm going to write another book, and I'm not ready to write another book, but what I will say is that there is a high demand for the book in Spanish and in French. My book is not punitive, my book is not accusatory, but there are solutions replete throughout the whole book. It really is just about being engaged with your child. They're not going to become respectful and trustworthy through you telling them and demanding it. They're going to become that way from observing you and then emulating what they see. And so in my parental code of ethics that I wrote, one of my favorite lines is, I will only seek excellence in my child if I am excellent myself. And so that's what I say is the number one key to making sure you have great children is checking yourself.
All right, you see the quality. You see the quality of that commercial now. Let me tell you, this person that's coming up next, the book fair, the way it exists, would not exist the way it exists without this person. This is my right-hand man now. I ain't saying he my man. That's my right-hand man. He is my favorite cameraman. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how professional he has made my road with the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. I'm going to bring on none other than the Amadilo Kuzan. Oh, should I say Kuzan? Let me get it right.
Kuzan, yes, Kuzan.
I mistake Kuzan all this time. You should have been telling me, Asada, say it right. Stop saying it like you say it. But anyway, thank you so much for being here, Amadilo.
My pleasure.
Let me just, I don't even know where to start. There's so many places, but I guess we can start with, because you're committed to the book fair the way, like you can't, like it's something somebody told you to do and you did it. You've been committed since the beginning. Why? What's been the connection that you felt to the book fair?
Well, just like your previous guest, they talked about how they developed a love of reading. And man, I must say, the sister who was just on, man, her program to capture people's genealogical history and how, man, that was so moving to me, because that's something that I'm very passionate about as well. But yeah, I think it's just the fact that anyone who becomes a lover of reading, I mean, human language is one of the things that sets us apart from every other part of God's creation. When you think about animals and other creatures, how they communicate, they use sounds and grunts and so forth. But human beings are the only part of God's creation that has developed language. And my mother was a lover of language. She really loved to read and introduced it to us at an early age. Me and one of my sisters in particular, we used to sit up at night and read books and stuff. And it just became a part of me. And to celebrate and uplift reading, particularly for the Black community, which is often looked upon as, the old adage, if you want to hide something from Black people, put it in a book, which is such an insult because it's totally untrue. Black people are some of the most committed readers on the planet. And we are constantly striving to put out, not only read books, but to write and put out information, whether it's nonfiction or fiction or children's books. We've always been in that space. And even despite the fact that people have constantly tried to block us from getting into that space, even today, in fact, it's even intensifying in a lot of places now where they're really working hard to make teaching of our history illegal. Sounds like something from 400 years ago.
Right.
So, I mean, the stuff's not surprising because these things have always been an undercurrent of this society. Mm-hmm. But so when I heard about the book fair, it was like, yeah, this is right in line with everything I care about, everything that I'm passionate about. And when I saw the level of quality that you had a vision for putting into the book fair, I was like, hey, show me where to point the camera and I will point.
Yeah. And I mean, point the camera you did, beyond you just having that skill, you've definitely been a sounding board for me to make decisions like, wait a minute, which way should I go, bub? What do you say, Big Bugs Buddy? Which way should I go? But it's because you have a sound mind. And because of that, the quality of what you said about the way you were brought up and being a voracious reader and coming up, finding that the recording of these stories is so important. I went and just did a little research on you last night because put a person's name in Google and see what comes up. And it's just so good. Like you put his name in YouTube and yeah, baby, you're going to get some videos. Now, I want to show a video that exemplifies you guys, not only the quality. Amadilo did the video I just showed for Beating Black Kids. He also did the video I showed earlier with the elders and the procession, but also is about to do the video that I'm about to show right now. And so I want to show it not only for the quality and of what you add, but you're in this video and it talks about your archiving what we do. And so we'll talk about that when we come right back. But you guys take a look at this excellence, please.
The heart of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair comes the Soulful Book Fair Foundation. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation provides programming, training, and literary opportunities for Black-themed writers and their readers, while increasing exposure and access to culturally relevant literature in Black communities. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation is built on 4 pillars. Enhance the Black literary marketplace, bolster training and marketing for Black writers, archive Black stories and literary experiences, and foster writing and telling of stories through Black youth. Our signature book fairs have showcased over 350 authors. Still, there are not enough opportunities for Black writers to promote their work. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation helps to enhance the Black literary marketplace and provide avenues for authors to gain exposure and sell their books. Everyone has a story to tell. For those people courageous enough to become authors, we help guide them through the process of building a business around their books. From effectively presenting at events, to maximizing social media.
Learning what Snapchat is, learning what Instagram is, how to use it, how to market to it. So I think that is what made me, I didn't sell out. I think I brought about 80 books and I sold like 68. So I think that was really, really good.
We offer training and marketing to help Black authors so they can confidently develop fruitful literary careers.
Soulful Chicago Book Fair, be there.
Understanding the past allows one to map out the future. We preserve the stories behind the storytelling of activists, writers, leaders, and youth in the Black community through state-of-the-art videography, produced by the media partner of the Soulful Book Fair Foundation, OM Productions International. We transform history into our story.
I purchased my first property at 19 years old, and I have done more than 20 deals since then. I can teach you too. Come visit me at the Soulful Chicago Book Fair, July.
Myth. Children today do not read and write as much as we did in the past. Children today actually read and write more than we used to because they post and text as their primary form of communication. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation creates opportunities for young people to share their stories through special workshops.
So in our African tradition, when you have special programs like this, you usually or always begin it with a libation before Archeva Denmark BC. He was recruiting enslaved Africans for 5 years in Charleston, South Carolina, to take over that city.
Hey, Black child, be what you can be, learn what you must learn, do what you can do, and tomorrow your nation will be where you want it to be.
I'm speaking the truth, but you call me a radical. You don't want to hear it? Send yourself on a sabbatical. Look at your history. Our labor here was never contractual.
The Timule D Black Essay Contest provides opportunities for young people from grades 4 through 12 to win prizes for sharing their family histories.
My great-grandmother was born July 27th of 1934 in Mississippi. She moved to Chicago in her early 20s because there was much more broad racism in the southern regions of the U.S.
The Timule D Black Essay Contest validates their young thoughts and creates a platform for their ideas to be taken seriously. We believe that our children would read more if what they read reflected more of who they are. Why not help them be the authors of their own experience?
Well, I started writing things in my journal, and then I started taking writing classes, and I realized I can put the things that go on in my life into my books, so I just put them in my journal and I put them into my book.
On these 4 pillars, enhancing the Black literary marketplace, bolstering training and marketing for Black writers, archiving Black stories and literary experiences, and fostering writing and the telling of stories through Black youth. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation is building a literary movement for the ages that is amplifying the voices of Black authors, poets, and even composers, and creating opportunities for them to share their unique perspectives with millions of literary fans across the city and across the world.
I mean, how do you feel when you watch that? I mean, come on. The fact that, and y'all know I'm not lying because you heard his voice all throughout the narration of that film, but What does that make you feel when you watch that, Amadilo?
Man, I was just, reminiscing about, I mean, it's humbling really, because to see so much greatness and so much positivity from our people, and the fact that, I had the opportunity to compile all of that together. And that narration was something you wrote actually, and I just basically put the different images together. So, and this is what I love, to be able to capture people's stories and the great work that they do. A lot of times we do all of this heavy lifting. I mean, heavy lifting, doing incredible work, incredible projects, and yet it gets lost in the flow of history because it's not documented. So that's where I'm very passionate about doing the best I can to capture these moments. And so it felt like, man, okay, this is my destiny. This is my work. This is what I've committed myself to do. And to see it played back is a beautiful thing. I must say, it's yeah, that was one of my favorite pieces actually, putting that uh foundation piece together. And and there's so much more. I mean, we have so many more moments that are captured on video that have yet to be actually packaged and put into stories. And
Sure.
I look forward to continuing to do this work.
Which leads me to the next question, because there's the past, what you all get to see. It's so funny because when I look at those images, I can kind of tell what year it was. Like when the entertainers are on the stage and the wall is just white. Yeah, that's because it
That
was the
right.
beginning. It was the beginning when we had nothing yet. But then
Yeah.
you see images later and you see the backdrop be the Soulful Chicago Book Fair banners and what have you. And so part of my question becomes the future, and what we want to see for the future. Because when I look at these videos and I look at these images, I'm kind of taken aback. Like you said, it's a little humbling because it's like, you telling me we filled those streets with Black people that
Man.
just wanted books? Like they didn't come just because they wanted to come and get some earrings and incense at the book fair. No, you can't have those at the book fair because we really just want the attraction to be books. And so when you see that we're responsible for creating something like that, and we've done that in the past, so what is some of what you see helping to create for the future? That's a big question, but what do you see?
Well, I think again, just building on the foundation that's been laid. And there was another piece we did where we even started back in Africa, where our literary traditions began with hieroglyphics and other forms of writing. And we've been told this story that we only have an oral tradition because we never developed alphabets or forms of writing. So we can see where we're building on a foundation that goes back, to the creator, really. And so when I look at what we're doing today, is to continue to look, just like, again, going back to that sister who was sharing with us about capturing people's genealogical information. That's something that I had often thought about. We have a project that we call the Family History Project, and we were going into the schools and teaching young people how to interview their grandparents and great grandparents if they were available, to start capturing their history. And so everything we build on we're not creating it out of thin air. These are things that are clearly established parts of our humanity. And of course, as African people, we focus on that particular part. But in a broader sense, we're just human beings sharing what naturally comes out of us. And I think that's what makes it strong. That's what makes it lasting. And that's what gives it its strength and its power. So as we look ahead, just like, I looked at some of those images, and there were people in there that have passed since we started the
Yes.
book fair. There were
Yeah.
people that have come and gone, people that made a strong impact and moved on, maybe moved out of town, whatever. But their energy and their spirit is still part of, the work that has been done. So as we go forward, new people are coming in. New energy is adding to what we're already doing. I've seen other events that have been inspired by the work that you've started, Masada, and that's good. People, imitation is the highest form of flattery, as they say.
That's right.
Yeah, and when people see something good, they want to be a part of it, or they want to try to do it themselves, and that's all good too. So and it's good you take a pause. Like last year, you took a pause, which sometimes is the right move, because it, so much with COVID and all the other things that have rocked the world. The Creator will have His way, no matter what plans we might have. So
Sure.
you got to be able to listen, hear what the Holy Spirit is saying, but then continue to manifest what needs to be manifested on this earth at this time for our people. A lot of people are, just overwhelmed and confused about events that are happening in the world. But that's another powerful thing about reading and history and research is that you see that these are patterns. They're not, people look at this and think, oh, wow, this is the end of the world, or this is earth shaking, and this is this and this is that. But when you really study it, you see, well, these patterns have been consistent throughout history, throughout time. The same little would-be gangster dictators come up and pop up, and they try to do their thing, and all of them is dust in the ground now. So,
Yep.
And these people that's on the stage now, they're going to be dust in the ground in the next decade or two. So,
Sure.
in the meantime, we need to just stay on our point and do what we do and continue to just manifest our humanity. I think, one of my mantras nowadays is always err on the side of humanity. If you have doubt in your mind about what we should do or how we should handle it, just think about what we as human beings need, and
Right.
we're all jockeying for position and trying to push our point and get our culture out there, and we're the original people, we're the greatest, we're this, we're that, and everybody's sitting there saying that, screaming at each other, and it's like, well, just chill and just be a human for a minute.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I look at it. And
Yeah.
if we can write it or put it in a video, or make a blog post about it, then hey, let's do that too.
That's right. Let me tell y'all what I see, and I think others are seeing it too. I see what we are doing as top tier behavior in the literary world for Black people. It's top tier. That's just period. When you look at us creating commercials for us and creating these big events, and you see all of us coming together and people having a platform for being debuted and all of that, depending on how we take ourselves, we could either play ourselves small or play ourselves big. But one of the things I really see is being the largest book fair in the world, not in the country, but in the world. And I have the makings of that brewing so that we do become a book fair that exists at the McCormick Center in Chicago, equivalent in New York to the Jacob Javits Center, like where we need like how the Black Women's Expo does. They take a portion, but I'm talking about huge, so that we really have a platform that people from around the world come to sell their books, and people know you want Black books, you get it from them. So we could go on for days, but I do want to say to you, thank you so much for being here today, Armadillo, because without you, I don't know what I would be. I don't know. Not as top tier, but you have brought the energy.
Thank you. And I just appreciate being able to serve and help in whatever way I can. And as long as I'm able, that's what I'm going to do. So
I know that's right. Thank you guys for tuning in and being here with the evolution of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair and the Soulful Book Fair Foundation at the gathering of the Griots stage. Again, we give thanks to Naima Latif, who makes the Female Solution and makes all this possible. You guys take care. And be here next Tuesday when we bring more energy to the stage with Gathering of the Griots. Peace. Have a good one.
Peace.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.